Hi, I'm State Representative Bruce Ayers, and I want to thank you for tuning in to my legislative update. As a state representative, I realize how important it is to keep my constituents informed of some of the matters we're debating upon up on Beacon Hill. My office works in collaboration with my colleagues in the House of Representatives, the State Senate, and the Governor's Office, including our constitutional offices, including State Treasurer Steve Grossman. The Treasurer's Office is responsible for managing the state's financing and overseeing the Massachusetts State Lottery. And my guest on today's show is Treasurer Steve Grossman. Steve, thank you for joining us.
Bruce, thanks so much for having me. I'm particularly partial to the communities you represent. Did very well there, got a lot of votes there. I'm very grateful to the voters, and I'm very pleased to have this opportunity to have a conversation with you.
Great. Steve, it's nice to have you here. I wanted to share with some of the viewers some of the topics that are based upon some of the calls that my office receives. I realize that your office oversees many programs and services, and I wanted to see if we could share with the constituents the necessary contact information, how they may apply for these programs, and how they're administrated, including topics like unclaimed property, bond rating, the Mass State Lottery. And why don't we start off with some of the unclaimed property?
Sure.
I just received a call the other day, had contacted your office, spoke with Mark Bracken, who does a great job in helping us identify the unclaimed properties. And mass statistics show that 1 in every 10 residents are eligible for unclaimed property. And I was wondering if you could tell us what is unclaimed property, how is it deemed unclaimed, and what your office does to help inform the constituents of this.
And I'm glad you let people know that 1 out of every 10 of our fellow citizens has unclaimed property, because a lot of people think that when they see the names published twice a year in the newspaper and they don't see their name on the list, that means they don't have unclaimed property. Those are just the new names that we've received in the last 6 months. In order for someone to find out if they have unclaimed property, they'd go on our website, findmassmoney.com. I'll repeat that, findmassmoney.com, and they'd simply type in their name and follow the prompt, and they could figure out very, very quickly if they have any unclaimed property. Now, we oversee unclaimed property, and currently, if you can believe it, we have $2 billion of cash sitting in that unclaimed property account, $150 million of stocks and bonds, and a lot of other tangible property, we call it, jewelry and coins and watches and things like that. So after a period of 3 years of unclaimed property being literally unclaimed, in other words, bank accounts that people don't know about. Let's assume your grandmother passed away and she had a savings bank account, and the savings passbook sat in a drawer, and nobody knew she had it. And a few years later, somebody realizes that, hey, Grandma must have had this account, and see whether or not there's any money in it. So they go to the bank, and they find that there was money in the bank account, but no longer is it opened. It was unclaimed, and after a period of years, it goes to the state. The state has to hold it for 3 years. If it's not claimed in 3 years, we have the right to then take it and use it as part of the general fund to pay the expenses of the people of this Commonwealth. But if you can show at any time with no statute of limitations that that money, that $4,212 that was in your grandmother's passbook, actually was hers and therefore was yours, you can claim it at any point. There's no statute of limitations. So that's the cash. Stocks and bonds are treated the same way. In terms of tangible property, we actually have an auction once a year. It's up on eBay. It's up on eBay right now, as a matter of fact, and it's a 5-week auction. Last year we realized almost $500,000 from it. And there are pins and jewelry and rings and coins and things of that nature. Now, those assets have to be unclaimed for a period of at least 9 years. And those come from safety deposit boxes that people have not paid their rent on. They become abandoned. Eventually, those safe deposit boxes are closed. The contents are taken away under lock and key, stored in Chelsea, full accounting. And if you can prove that that diamond ring or that diamond necklace that your grandmother got for a wedding present back in 1943 was actually hers, even though it was sold at auction for $25,000 5 years ago, you can get those proceeds. So there are no statute of limitations either on the cash or on the tangible property. Last year we returned $62 million of unclaimed property to the people of the Commonwealth. This year we're on track to return round numbers about $70 million. We'll have a record year this year, due in large measure, frankly, to the leadership of Mark Bracken, whom you mentioned, son of Quincy and somebody we know very well.
He does a great job.
He does.
Your office is very accessible, and having this show, what I wanted to accomplish is providing my constituents with some of the information and services that your office provides. And I know we're going to be sharing the contact information for both our offices. So as we go through the topics, if anyone has any interest, they can shoot us both an email.
Absolutely.
Or even check out your website.
And again, findmassmoney.com if you think you may have unclaimed property, or if you want to know about the auction, which goes right through December 3rd, and you want to get on that auction, see what's there that you might want to bid on, go on findmassmoney.com, and all the details of the auction are right there on the site.
Great. I want to switch over to business just for a minute. As a member of the Chamber of Commerce and a small businessman like yourself, we realize that small businesses make up 90% of the business in the communities throughout the Commonwealth.
Exactly.
They pay the bulk of the taxes, they create jobs, they're sponsoring the youth teams and other charitable endeavors. What I think is important right now, particularly as a businessman, we're seeing that they're struggling. They're making a payroll each week. They're dealing with other associated costs. I think now it's more important than ever that we assist the small businesses, and I know you started the Small Business Banking Partnership Program to give them some assistance. Maybe you could touch upon that for some of our viewers.
And that really goes back to the reason I ran for treasurer in the first place. It was right in the middle of the worst recession in 75 years. I was running a family business, 101-year-old, fourth-generation family business, used to be called Mass Envelope Company, now Grossman Marketing. My two sons, David and Ben, now run the business. And I said, boy, small businesses need help. They're struggling like they've never struggled before. And I've spent 36 years of my life running a business, meeting payrolls, managing money, solving problems, dealing with the crises that you and I deal with every day. And I said, I'm going to run for this job, and if I am lucky enough to be elected treasurer, I'm going to do something about helping small businesses. So I had some roundtable discussions all over the state, and in every one of those discussions, I asked the small businessmen and businesswomen in the room at the table, what are the biggest roadblocks and barriers you face? And not surprisingly, access to capital was the #1 item that people talked about. Permitting and cost of health insurance and technical assistance, those were all mentioned, but it was access to capital. So when I became treasurer, I said, where is our taxpayers' money put in the bank? Where does it sit? And I found that not only was it sitting in banks outside of Massachusetts, it was sitting in banks outside of the United States, in Europe, in Australia, and in Asia. Something's wrong with this picture, I said, because Massachusetts taxpayers' money should be deposited in Massachusetts small banks, community banks, local banks, regional banks, to be loaned to creditworthy businesses here in Massachusetts to create jobs. So we started the banking partnership, and the banks basically have to do three things. They have to give us a competitive interest rate on the money, they have to insure it so taxpayers are protected, and they've got to agree to lend the money to small businesses all over the Commonwealth. So far, 32 banks have signed up. We've deposited almost $140 million in those 32 banks. 20 more have agreed to sign up. They just haven't finished the paperwork. And actually, all over the South Shore, you see banks that have joined it and are lending money as a result of this program. South Coastal Bank, South Shore Savings Bank, just to mention a couple of banks. Rockland Trust Company will be joining it very soon. So you've got banks all over the South Shore lending money. And in the last quarter, the quarter that ended September 30th, $79 million of new loans were made to small businesses with the money we deposited. So it's successful so far. Hopefully it'll grow all over the state. And it's one way for us to say we want to help small businesses get on their feet, get the money they need to finance receivables, inventory, grow a business, hire a few people, get us all back on our feet, because we're all in this together, Bruce.
That's great. You know, it's great news to the chamber members who might not be familiar with the program. In my office, it's great news because it helps generate jobs. It gives people opportunities that might not have it without some assistance through their banks and you initiating a program like this.
And I was a member of two chambers when I was in business. And you know the chamber world as well as I do. Business people coming together, small, medium-sized, and large, finding solutions. It's really what this is about, Bruce. Whether you're a state representative, or whether you're a state treasurer, or whether you're a business person, or whether you're just a citizen. This is about common sense solutions that can help bring our communities, lift people up, and give people the tools, whether it's capital or the tools educationally they need to compete and win. That's why I'm so optimistic about the future of the state, because we've got a lot of good things going on, and people, I hope, will remember that when they think about some of the tough times we've been through. We're going to make sure small businesses get the money they need to start hiring people and growing the economy again.
Well, it's very encouraging, especially as these business owners plan their short and long-term goals and navigate through these fiscal waters.
Exactly.
I know another program that your office works with is something that the legislature and the governor initiated dealing with financial education. Recently they passed a financial literacy trust fund.
Right.
And I know this trust fund is established to help residents, constituents, students, and even community organizations have some more additional information about financing. Perhaps you could touch on that and how people could benefit.
Sure. Well, financial education and financial literacy is something we all care about very much. I'll make a very simple statement on the show. I don't think any high school student should graduate from high school without some basic financial education, financial literacy, financial empowerment, as I like to call it. And that can start very early on in life. There's bills running through the legislature now, they haven't passed yet, to bring financial education and financial literacy right into the educational curriculum, K through 12. Imagine what it would mean to our kids and to the next generation of elementary school, middle school, and high school kids if from K through 12 we offered financial education courses and programs built right into our frameworks. That would be absolutely critical. But it's not just about kids in school, it's about seniors who need it desperately because they're growing older on less income than they expected. It's about veterans who come back, take that uniform off, over 400,000 veterans, and need help with financial matters to get back on their feet. It's about single moms who are having a hard time putting a household budget together and scraping together the money they need to get through the week. So the Financial Literacy Trust Fund, and I appreciate your support for that bill, was designed to help raise money from the private sector, from foundations, from corporations, from individuals, to supplement the money that we get from the state government. We get an allocation of about $85,000 from the state budget. We did get this year. By the way, the program is run by a young lady named Leanne Martin Fay, just recently got married, and she also is a daughter of Quincy, grew up in Quincy. So Quincy provides some great leadership, as does Randolph, to the people of this Commonwealth to run programs. So she oversees this program, and we're going to try to raise money from the private sector, take the public money, the private money, put it together in a public-private partnership, and then provide resources to not-for-profit organizations that need those funds to offer financial education, financial literacy to people all over the Commonwealth. So it's really an opportunity to leverage public dollars with private dollars, because government will never be able to do it all on its own. If we can get the private sector to believe it's important and join together with the public sector, then we've got a powerful program that can really be a game changer for the people of this Commonwealth.
It really is a game changer. You know, some of the calls that I get from my office, and we've referred them to yours, people are struggling, and they're just looking for a little assistance, maybe a little consulting, whether it's their home finances or their students or son or daughter's finances, and this is just the shot in the arm, so to speak, that they're looking for.